just getting some things going. So I'm doing something different. I'm streaming on YouTube, on Instagram, and also on Twitter. You guys can call it X. I call it Twitter. I'm not changing. So I wanted to talk about some things. So the other day I'm driving. I'm on the 110. I get a text message. Now you don't not supposed to look at your text messages while you're driving, but it displayed on the screen and it said some LAPD SWAT officers are getting an awards. And I couldn't open it up because it's a PDF. But I'm just thinking there's certain SWAT officers that I have a hard time with. Um, and I'm thinking, man, if Mario Rios is on that list, I'm gonna flip out because he's gonna get an award. To give you guys a brief rundown on my guy Mario Rios, let me show you his picture. This is my guy right here. This is Mario Rios. He is an ex-Rampart officer. Back about 25 years ago, he was involved with a number of Rampart scandals. He was at the center of the whole entire Rampart scandal. And there's a situation where he took this one kid named Eric Vega, I believe he's 16 years old, handcuffed him, put him into the back of a police car, and took him to a neighborhood adjacent to his, different gang neighborhood, dropped him off, started driving away, and immediately this kid was killed. And for years after that, this guy right here, Mario Rios, didn't mention anything about it to the LAPD. This kid was killed. There was a murder investigation. He was actually the first officer to arrive at the shooting scene afterwards, but never mentioned to anybody that he had had contact with this kid. And it seems like, this is a tactic that's well known, where you take a kid from one neighborhood and send him to a different gang neighborhood, drop him off, get on the loudspeaker and say, hey, you got whatever, MS-13 right here. And next thing you know, somebody's getting whooped up on or worse, like Eric Vega. So when I saw that, this guy is getting an award, I felt like, okay, I got to do a quick stream. So it's not going to be a very long stream. I just want to talk a little bit about this guy, Mario Rios. See, right now he works in SWAT. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story, but they had a situation where scandal with the SWAT team, and they have a group called the SWAT Mafia. And this guy right here has been associated with it. This guy right here has been involved with a number of shady shootings involving the SWAT, and of course, he has his history going back in Rampart, back to dealing with Rafael Perez, the guy who sort of inspired the character that Denzel Washington played in Training Day. I believe he even partnered with him at a point too. This guy, Mario Rios right here. So I actually just want to go through a brief history of what this guy has done and look at the type of people that, first off, you got to wonder, how is this guy allowed to stay on the force? Why is he on the force still? Let alone, why is he getting these awards? And then I look right here, look how much he's paid. Between pay and benefits, in 2023, he got $299,963. So how much of that is cash? Let's see. So he got $278,000 in cash, straight cash, homie. And then he got benefits of $21,000. Now the governor makes about $200,000. This guy makes $278,000. Cop, this is where our money goes. And what we're putting out there on the street isn't the greatest, especially when it comes to this guy, Mario Rios. So what I'm going to do real quick is I just want to play. I actually made a movie about him and his partner, Michael Montoya, fledgling serial killer. Just want to play that video, show you exactly what type of special person this guy is. 1 second here. How you guys doing? You guys been staying away from drama and stuff? Back in 1996, two LAPD Rampart crash unit officers, Mario Rios and Michael Montoya, were accused of covering up their encounter with 16-year-old Eric Vega right before the teen's death. Vega was found shot dead just moments after the officers purposely released him from their patrol car in the territory of a rival gang. Rios and Montoya failed to mention their encounter with the teen for years, and prosecutors said that both officers, at a minimum, withheld evidence and obstructed justice. Yet, both officers remained on the force. Rios is a current LAPD SWAT member, and Montoya retired as an SIS detective in 2023. All right, so this guy right here, that's Rios with the penis hanging out of his mouth. You see how it says D team? That means he's on SWAT team's D team, their beloved team. This guy right here, that's Montoya now. This guy right here actually is I can't remember his last name, how it's spelled, but he's the Asian guy. He's actually in the SIS, the Special Investigation Section. It's funny with them, right? So quick story, quick sidetrack. This guy right here and his team claim that they are undercovers and that they're secretive. And they actually were part of the lawsuit claiming where the pictures had been released to a journalist, Ben Camacho, who then gave the pictures to LAPD Stop Spying Coalition, who created the Watch the Watchers website with all the officers' profiles and their pictures. And then the cops had an uproar. They said, you're putting us at risk. We try to keep our identity secret. And all these detectives were suing, saying that pictures are now out there. It's supposed to be secret. You put them at risk. So that we started doing a little research. And this guy right here, I can't remember his last name, but not only does this guy, he can't claim he was trying to hide his identity because he's a whole ass attention whore. He's all over the internet. This guy was doing interviews like on talk shows, identifying as himself. He found some video of him doing a commercial because he has a vintage car, a vintage BMW, where he's waxing it in a commercial in front of his own house. His house is in the video. He's talking about, and this is a special SIS detective talking about, well, we go to great lengths to hide our identity. He put his own house on a commercial. Get out of here. So anyway, back to Rios and Montoya. 3. On November 5th, 1996, the officers reportedly placed Vega in the back of their car while observing a drug arrest in the Rampart district. After driving around for a few minutes, the officers say they dropped the child off at a gang hangout known as El Castillo at his own request. Moments later, a gunshot. Now, they said that this kid asked, can you please handcuff me? This is what their claim. They were claiming that he was an informant. They ran up into an apartment, found him there. They claimed that he was an informant of theirs, and so they handcuffed him at his request. He asked to be handcuffed and brought into the car and drove around. They said, well, he didn't have any real information. So he requested, can you drop me off in the next gang territory over there where I'm probably could get my ass whooped? Can you drop me off over there? That's what they're claiming. Okay. And they didn't claim this until years later. At first, they tried to hide it. It rang out. Montoya and Rios West. Moments later, a gun rang out known as El Castillo at his own request. Moments later, a gunshot rang out. Montoya and Rios were the first officers on the scene, only to find the victim was Vega himself. According to the teenager's girlfriend, just a month prior, Rios and another officer had threatened Vega by purposely dropping him in a rival gang territory, putting his life at risk. She described how Vega returned shaken and with his shirt torn after narrowly escaping a violent encounter. According to a report from Deputy District Attorney Laura Lasik, both officers failed to document their encounter with Vega on that day before he was killed. In fact, the officers failed to disclose their interaction for years until they were forced to by internal affairs using compelled testimony, which could not be used to prosecute the officers. So here were they talking about their compelled testimony. what happens there is these cops denied have any involvement with this kid whatsoever, right? And internal affairs said, okay, here's the deal. We're going to compel you to give testimony, that you have to give testimony on this, but whatever you give can't be used against you to prosecute you. So essentially, we're going to give you immunity, but now you have to tell us the truth. Otherwise, your job's going to be on the line. So they said, fuck it. Okay, we're going to tell you the truth. Yeah, we picked that kid up and we brought him over there and we dropped him off. And, we just did it because he asked us to do it. He asked us to handcuff him, bring him over there. That he asked us to drop him off. And then, yeah, I know we drove a block or two away. And next thing you know, he got shot and we came to the scene. We didn't mention anything about our involvement, but yeah, no, it's all on the up and up, right? Which is bullshit. Deputy District Attorney Lasik, Montoya, and Rios completed their reports as the first officers on the scene of Vega's murder. Yet there was no mention of their encounter with him. Lasik noted, it appears the officers intentionally withheld information from homicide detectives, internal affairs, and their chain of command, calling into question the credibility of their statements about this case. Furthermore, the officers had left out their encounter with Vega in all official reports filed that day, a clear violation of department policy. But even though the evidence seemed compelling, Lasik found herself blocked from pursuing legal action against Rios and Montoya for obstructing justice. The officers were given compulsion to avoid termination and thus couldn't be used against them in court. Also, by the time the investigation, the statute of limitations had also run out. Even after the DA said the officers failed to disclose their contact with Eric Vega and obstructed justice, the LAPD failed to discipline these officers, where Rios eventually became a SWAT member and Montoya became an SIS detective. All right. So that's some bullshit. The guy, both those cops, but the other one, Montoya, he retired last year. Rios, he's still on the force. And he withheld all this evidence. And the prosecutor said he at a minimum obstructed justice. At a minimum. So why the fuck does he have a job still? Like, how is he allowed to keep his job as a police officer? Okay, fine. You didn't, well, not fine. You should have prosecuted him. But since you didn't, how does he keep his job? How does he keep his job as a cop? And this isn't the only thing he's been involved with. Here, let me see if I can find this. Here's the article on Eric Vega. Can I? I don't like the layout of that. One second here. His family sued. I can't find any documentation on whether it was settled or not. Most likely, I'm going to assume that it was settled. This guy Rios has led to, we've paid out lots of money in lawsuits over the years, specifically because of him. With another case involving a false arrest, he was involved with Rafael Perez false arrest, where he made up a story. He was involved in the Soderbergh shooting, where basically a guy was having a mental health crisis and he was unarmed and they were in a helicopter shooting at him and shooting at him from all different angles, and they just unloaded on this guy. I believe he was involved with another situation where they tased a guy who was up on a billboard, which it was kind of unnecessary, but they was like, fuck it, let's just do it anyway, just for the sport of it. We paid out lots of lawsuits because of this Mario Rios guy. Not to mention that he killed that kid. But yet, but yet, we still have to. Let me see here. Let's pull up the commendation. Honorable Board of Police Commissioners, to the police commissioners from the Chief of Police. New Chief. Recommendations for the Police Commission Unit citation. The Police Commission Unit citation is the department's highest award for an LAPD organizational unit in which members display bravery or outstanding service functioning as a team. The Honorable Board of Police Commissioners previously awarded the Medal of Valor to 12 LAPD Special Weapons and Tactics SWAT team members for the response and involvement with an armed barricaded suspect that occurred on October 8th, 2021. It requested an additional 21 Metro SWAT officers that assisted with the same incident and be considered. So they wanted to be considered a police committed unit citation, right? And I look at them. There's a bunch of guys on here that are some real assholes, right? A couple that jump off. Mark Jackson, Sergeant, asshole, piece of crap. Andrew Rea, asshole, piece of crap. But then I go down here and I see this guy, Mario Rios. This guy is getting an award. The guy who had a young kid assassinated, essentially. Has no business being on the force, but you're not going to hold him accountable in any way for that stuff. That stuff just, it happens sometimes. Kids get killed, and just gonna move on from that. Here's your site. Here's your award. And I don't really want to care what the rest of this has to say. Me personally, I get sick every time I see this guy being mentioned in any way, in a good way. This guy, like I said, has no business being on the force. But so I want to give you some updates, some quick other updates that have happened this week. I got a disposition letter back for a situation with my good buddy Robert Rand. If you guys been following me over the years, with Film the Police LA stuff, or even that Scientology stuff, I've been dealing with Rand for a long time. You guys are pretty familiar with him. He arrested me back in 2021 on some bullshit charge. But I got a disposition letter back. I want to show you the situation that was what happened in the situation. So essentially, somebody went to the police department and wanted to file a crime report and also get an update on a crime report. And while in there, the victim of the crime wanted to record her interaction with Detective Rand. And Detective Rand told her to stop filming inside the police station because it's a violation of Penal Code 148G. Let me make sure. Let me see if I can find this guy. Where is it at? Where are you at, Rand? Most annoying guy in the world. There we go. Let's pull this guy up.
Right, the film in here, 148G does not say anything.
Yeah, 148G. So he was telling her that she could not film inside a police station. He was citing Penal Code 148G as the reason. And so this is the detective. He's also sort of like the watch commander of detectives. And I got to tell you guys, Penal Code 148G does not say what he thinks it says. And why does it take me to have to tell this guy, this head detective, sort of a watch commander, what the law states? But that's what we do around here.
I'm not going outside. I have a right to film in here. 148G does not say anything about that. No, it doesn't.
He says, yes, it does. And I said, no, it doesn't. 148G does not say anything about me, about me that I prevented from filming inside a police station.
officer. So I got assaulted today, and the woman, Jolene Lenz, was brought in, and so
Put down your stuff, and I can take you around the club. You want to have a seat? We'll do that.
I'm sorry.
Can you take any type of crime reports in your investigation?
No, the report is already done. We just wanna.
Okay, what's your question?
Well, she's talking to you,
Has
but
she been
you were interrupting
No,
her.
she's here for support.
I'm here for her support,
You
sir.
can have a seat. You can take order from over there. What are you here for?
I'm here because I was
Can I stay
assaulted.
right here?
No, you're interrupting.
I'm not, you interrupted
Well, we're
me.
hearing, and you keep talking, which means she's gonna keep repeating, which means you're interrupting
Okay,
her.
you're being
She's
a little
here,
rude,
she's a
though.
lawful reason to be here. I need to hear directly from her. You can have a seat. We can deal with that.
I can stay right here,
Have
right?
a seat. Right.
This is so rude. I can speak a little louder, maybe.
I have no idea about your report. We deal with confidential reports, so as a matter of practice, moving forward, we don't have anybody come on up here. I already told you, ma'am, if you're gonna keep recording and keep your thing, you need to leave the station.
Sir, it's my.
Right now, I'm doing an investigation right now. You're impeding the investigation. I'm giving you a
I'm
148
not
lawful.
saying anything, I'm
Listen,
just sitting here.
listen to what I'm saying right now. This is how it's gonna work. Right now, I'm doing a lawful investigation. She said she's a victim of a crime. I repeated you multiple times to turn off the camera, step outside. If you do not, you'll be subject to 148 arrest. You need to leave right now. Walk out.
Well, he has no right to tell her to leave the lobby of a police station. If he's doing a confidential report, he could take the victim into another room and film. But in the lobby of a police station, it's a public space. On top of it, she is there with the victim, and she is there to record the interaction for the victim's receipt at the victim's request. Now, he cited that it was a lawful order, 148 lawful order. And earlier, he cited 148G as the reason. Let me pull up 148G. Let me pull up Penal Code, California Penal Code 148G. Let's see here. All right, so here's 148. All right. Now, what does 148 say? 148 says every person who willfully resists, delays, or obstructs any public officer, peace officer, or emergency medical technician, as defined in Division 2.5 of the Health and Safety Code, in discharge or attempt to discharge any duty of his or her office of employment when no other punishment is prescribed, shall be punished by a fine not exceeding $1,000 or by imprisonment in a county jail not to exceed 1 year, or by both that fine and imprisonment. So in other words, 148 says you can't interfere with an arrest, and you can't resist arrest. Okay, that's what 148A says. Let's scroll down here to 148G, and this is important. 148G is important. 148G says the fact that a person takes a photograph or makes an audio or video recording of a public officer or peace officer while the officer is in a public place, or the person taking the photograph or making the recording is in a place he or she has the right to be, does not constitute in and of itself a violation of subdivision A, nor does it constitute reasonable suspicion to detain a person or a probable cause to arrest the person. Okay? It's pretty clear right there. The law says that as long as you are in a public place that you're allowed to be, police station lobby is a public place, and you have a right to film the interaction with the police officer, period. It specifically states it there. So this guy earlier was saying, I'm going to arrest you. And he told me to me, citing 148G. 148G is pretty clear. See, my personal opinion is I think what happens is it went around on a Facebook post among cops. They're like, hey, 148A, you can arrest somebody if they're filming. And so they've been running with that because I noticed for a fact this happened to me. I actually got arrested citing 148A at UCLA when I followed police officers inside a building as they went to arrest a bunch of protesters. I sat there filming in the distance, out of the way, and they arrested me for 148A. I mean, they held me for 7 hours, and then they finally, at the last minute, before while the booking process had begun, decided, oh no, let's let them go. This is some bullshit. And so they dropped the charges then, or they didn't book me then. But that's what 148A is about. 148A is, yeah, you can't resist arrest or interfere. 148G says filming is not interfering. So anyway, I filed a complaint on Detective Rand for that, giving an unlawful order. And of course, the LAPD sent me a disposition letter back last week saying that, yeah, he did the right thing. He's allowed to do that. So the LAPD, in their own internal investigations, has decided that they're just going to make up laws as they go along. That giving an unlawful order related to 148A and G is acceptable, and they're not going to be held accountable. I already started the process with the appeal. I appealed with the inspector general. I want to see what the inspector general, but more importantly, I want to see what the LAPD commission has to say about that one. It'll be interesting. Meant to make this just a quick little stream. Let's do another one. Give you another update. Oh, you know what? Let me do this. It's going to take a second. Gabriel Espadas. You guys familiar with him? Espadas is the guy who there's a lawsuit against him right now saying that he forced a woman to have sex, forced her to have sex with other people, forced her to have sex even with animals. This was an LAPD cop who had 5150'd her. And when she got out immediately and started, got her information, met up with her, and entered into some sort of relationship with the patient, which sounds a lot like coercion if you look at the lawsuit. And the thing about it is, under the law, coercion to have sex is sexual assault. The LAPD doesn't see it that way because I asked the LAPD to release all the documents of this situation, citing SB 1421, which requires situations of a sexual assault or sexual crimes that they have to release these documents. They're saying, well, it wasn't deemed a sexual crime, so therefore we don't have to release it because they decided, yeah, it's not a sex crime. This is just him having an affair with this person. But the fact that he 5150'd her and have all this coercion, yeah, it's not sexual assault. It's outrageous. It's disgusting. And I exposed this cop, or ex-cop. He resigned after all this stuff happened. And I exposed him. Here, let's pull up. Let's pull up weirdo. I've talked about a little bit about this guy here and there. Wrong one. This guy right here. This special case right here. So I started exposing this guy, talking about him on Twitter, and next thing you know, I'm waking up and this guy is sending me all types of crazy messages at 2:56 a.m., which is creepy. If it's 3 o'clock, that's one thing, but something about like 2:56, 2:57, sending me all these like cryptic messages about how somebody could get hurt and blah, blah, blah. Listen, doesn't particularly scare me, but if he's going to send me messages like that, I will deem that a threat, right? Let me see here. Let me see if I can find his messages. One second. All right. me show you this. So this is what was alleged. I hid the lady's name because we don't need to know her name, right? He used his position of authority under the color of law with no legitimate law enforcement purpose, motivated by sex through force, threats, intimidation, coercion, and duress. Sexually assaulted and engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with redacted, including exchange of lewd messages and images, sexual demands, oral copulation, vaginal penetration, and anal penetration, fisting, Jesus, sex with a third person, and pressuring sex with animals, and special guy right here, special guy. Um, yeah, that's ugly stuff, man. That's rough stuff. Allegations came out. He immediately resigned. They found him that they sustained complaints against him for this stuff, but they're saying it wasn't. Yeah, it just didn't constitute um, sexual assault. I listen. I think this was weird, right? I did my research into the guy and found this quote. They're asking people about Christmas. This is from a few years ago. Listen, when somebody asks you about, what are your thoughts on Christmas this year? People are always in some, you think they're in the holiday spirit and talk about whatever. I don't know, whatever Christmas means to them. His first sentence says, hopefully this new year brings a little bit more peace. Oh, that sounds good. With the shootings with ISIS. ISIS? What the fuck is he? You talking about Christmas? And this guy automatically starts talking about ISIS? What the fuck are you talking about? ISIS. He's talking about shootings and ISIS. Something's wrong with this guy up here, man. All right. If I ask you about Christmas, you start that, that's a little heavy. A little heavy here. I'm talking about ISIS. This guy is thinking about beheadings and stuff. What the hell is wrong with this guy? Nah, this guy's a special case, right? Also got a lawsuit. Now here's another thing. Let me show you this. See this right here? So this was what he was found, what was sustained. Off duty, he inappropriately contacted complainant after placing complainant on a 5150 hold. Like, what are we doing here? Why is this guy? You put her on a hold and you're gonna reach out to her afterwards. Why? Let's find out. Inappropriately use status as a police officer to gain complainant's trust towards a personal relationship. All right. So what the fuck? You using it? Requested complainant to engage in a sexual act. Lovely. Inappropriately retain complainant's personal information for personal use. What the fuck is this? Inappropriately converted an on-duty contact into an off-duty sexual relationship. I'm sorry, but this power dynamic, right? This is not a normal relationship. At a minimum, there's coercion here. This is an abuse of authority. This is not sexual assault. Somebody who's experiencing mental health crisis. What am I doing? What are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? This is crazy. So yeah, no, this guy is a real special case. And so there is that lawsuit against him. And I know personally that he works for SpaceX right now. Not only that, he has what do you call it? He has a security clearance. You can't have a security clearance if you have a pending lawsuit against you. So did he inform SpaceX that he has this lawsuit against them? Because if he did, he wouldn't have a security clearance. I don't think he did. I don't think he did. I want to pull up, trying to find his messages that he sent to me. Hold on. Fuck it. Let me go to my DMs. Let's see. Here, I guess I'm not going to find it that way. Let me just read what he sent to me. Did he nuke his account? Yeah, he sent me a like this threatening message. He nuked his account. Sorry, I got screenshots somewhere. So he sent me a message basically saying that I'm influencing people. He claimed that somebody had come to his house and had taken the Ring camera off of his house and seemed to be burglarizing it. And it was because of my influence. Because my influence. I influenced this person. Somehow it's my fault somebody came and tried to do some, no regular LA crime shit. It's somehow my fault. So I was like, you know what? Here we go. Let the LAPD deal with this shit. He said, first off, I don't know who you are, nor do I care, but I want you to read what I'm about to say very carefully. Guys, when they say that, the whole very carefully, like he's serious. I want you to read this I'm gonna read it carefully. Okay, let's read it carefully, guys. What I'm about to say very carefully and look at the pictures I'm about to send. Second, I would gladly go to jail for the rest of my life for my 2 children with a smile on my face if they are ever threatened again by your influence. What? He's threatening, I don't know, this guy's is he threatening to do something to me? So the language he used here is careful because he says, by your influence. If ever threatened again by your influence. My influence, not by me, but by my influence, meaning I guess somebody else who is influenced by me. So I guess he's talking about what he'll do to them. Well, take it up with them. What the hell's it got to do with me? And what do you mean? Who am I influencing? First off, if somebody is coming after, like giving you a hard time because of the shit you did that I exposed, that's on you. That has nothing to do with me. This is the shit you did. The fuck I got to do with it? You're upset that I'm showing people this? Too bad. You shouldn't have done it. Getting back. I don't know if you are a parent, but as a grown ass man, when it comes to innocent life and kids, I do not fuck around, and that's a promise. He promised, guys. He promised. I am not a rapist, and that is the truth. Okay, tell it to the judge. Tell it to the judge. What are you telling to me for? Why are you sending me DMs at what time does it say on here? I guess it doesn't show on here, but it was like 2:56 in the morning. You sitting there telling me you're not a rapist. I don't know. What are you doing up so early or so late? You telling me for? Frankly, I don't care what you post about me. Cool, because I'll continue posting what I want about you. He said, post about me, but when someone linked to you, who's linked to me? Some shit happened. This dude lives in the valley. Somebody fucked around at his house and it's my fault. Like that shit doesn't happen in the valley on a regular basis. Put it on me. Linked to you or your influences reaches out to me and tries to touch or hurt my family, someone is going to end up dead or in the hospital. Dead or in the hospital, one or the other. 2 days ago, I had some text me a serious threat to my phone over some social media cop hating bullshit, calling me a rapist. I did not call you that. The victim and her lawyer, we reached out to her lawyer. We got the blessing to talk about this case. That's what they're saying. I'm just the messenger here. I know that you resigned for a reason. I saw what the LAPD wrote about you. That's what I'm operating off of right here. You can take it up with the judge and the jury. I'll probably be there watching it. And my LinkedIn was recently viewed by your profile. I did. I purposely did that. I went into my Film the Police account and purposely looked at your profile, knowing that you were going to see that I was in there. I like doing that. I do that on purpose. I guess it fucked with your head. That's how I assume this is linked to by you. So since I went into his LinkedIn and looked at his profile and saw he worked for SpaceX, that means some shit that happened at his house at 2 o'clock in the morning is my fault. The fuck did I do? This guy is a special case. Special case. So yeah, after that, I went to the police station and I filed a crime report, and they came back and they said, listen, he's ambiguous with what he's saying. Technically, he didn't threaten you directly and stuff. And I know. I want it on record that this guy is talking this shit. You gotta get the Barbie chapstick. It's the most important part. If you guys ever want to get into cop watching, you gotta get the Barbie chapstick. So yeah, I mean, Gabriel, man, take up with them. I had nothing to do with this. I'm just a messenger on this stuff. You know, you could have avoided some of this trouble by just, you know, not having these crazy ass relationship with 5150 patients. You know, again, take it up with them. Has nothing to do with me. As you guys know, or some of you guys know, if you look on the bottom, it says that have a website, filmthepolicela.com, doing multiple things on there. Let me take you over to the website real quick. Wrong one. All right. So here's the website. All right. So a few things we focus on: profiles, creating officer profiles. We have Watch the Watchers website, and what they do is they create profiles of every officer with their name, rank, race, height, weight, serial number, badge number, email addresses, year of hire, division that they work in, right? For every officer in the LAPD. And so they're the gold standard on that. What we've created are profiles for officers that have misconduct issues. So often I'll have a defense attorney. I just had one reach out a few days ago saying, hey, you know, Mr. Good, I did a pitches motion to find out if there's any information you have on this cop. You came back with a hit on the pitches motion. Essentially what happens is officer profiles, officers, their disciplinary records are off limits across the board. What a judge can do is if there's a case and there's, you know, the arresting officer, if the defense attorney files a pitches motion, a judge can then review the officer's history to see if there's any sort of misconduct in there. If there is something, whether it's sustained or just allegation, they can then release limited information to the defense attorney, which is really just the complainant, whoever filed the complaint, their name, email address, phone number, and that's it. And then they reach out and say, hey, you know, there's an incident that happened on this date. Do you have any information on this guy? I see you filed a complaint on them before. And that, you know, it happens about once every couple of weeks. I get one of those from a defense attorney saying that I had a hit on a pitches motion. Have you dealt with this cop, you know, Mike Smith? And like, oh yeah, I've dealt with them, and I hand over whatever information I have on them. What I wanted to do is make sort of an online Brady list of all, not just bad cops, but essentially cops that commit misconduct, and a list of all the cops that have shootings, whether they're in policy or out of policy. And so on the website, on the officer profile page, you come here and you can scroll through the lists of officers who have some sort of misconduct in the past, information that may be helpful for a defense attorney. You know, you click on, here's Matthew Ensley, this guy right here. The special case is a guy, the drunk driving cop. He got arrested for putting 2 people in the hospital when he was driving shit-faced drunk about a year ago. He's charged with how many charges? A ton of charges. Special allegations, great bodily injury, blood alcohol level over 0.15. But yeah, this guy is just a piece of shit. And then there's other things he's done. He made allegations against the guy that were untrue when he claimed that the person had been arrested before for battery and just made the claim being a jerk. So you can see what these guys have done in their past on the officer profile pages. Then we have the investigation page. Investigation, I only have one investigation up. Essentially, just looking at a long form investigation of incidents rather than just a one long paragraph. What I wanted to do was make sure that there that I was showing my work along the way, showing each step of the process, the initial incident and what happened, you know, statements, crime reports filed, my interviews with lieutenants or internal affairs or professional standards bureau, my interactions, my emails with the LAPD along the way to show you every step of the way, because I think there, when you look at everything step by step, you see how corrupt the process it is. So that's why we have the investigation page. Then we have the video page, which will be just lots of documentaries. Essentially, I'm going to put my, I have like probably like 5 terabytes of police video that I've filmed. I eventually want to put all of it onto the website for all to see. For now, I just basically have some more important videos on here. So yeah, that's what we're working with on the website. But we have the officer profile pages. I was going to show you one specific officer. Where is he at? Oh, you see, you have Gabriel here. Gabriel's rape allegations are listed here. See, the funny thing about this guy, Gabriel, so he wasn't fired by the LAPD and he wasn't decertified by Post. Post is, they do a California certifies. You have to get certified by the state to be a police officer. They should have decertified this guy so he can't work as a police officer. But unfortunately, since he resigned and since he hasn't been decertified by Post, this guy could become a cop somewhere else in California. He can become a cop at Torrance PD or a sheriff's department or wherever else. He should be decertified. LAPD dropped the ball on that, and that's bullshit. Yeah. So, like I said, this was going to be a short one. I just feel like I hadn't done an episode, one of these videos. Got sidetracked with some baby shit and Scientology stuff, but I meant to do one of these every night, ideally for like an hour, maybe an hour and a half a night, just showing some of the stuff that I've been dealing with. There's a lot, we filed one lawsuit a month ago. We're probably going to file some more soon, specifically related to CPRA stuff. You know what? While we're here, let's show you this bullshit. Where is professional standards at? Next request. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Public records. Oh, man. Oh, man, I can't show you this. It'll show my damn address. Next time. I'll just crop all that stuff out next time. Oh, you know what? While we're here, let me show you. I want to show you something else. I was actually doing some research tonight on another Rampart cop. His name is Humberto Tovar. You guys ever heard of him? Humberto Tovar. Let me see if I can find that PDF. Humberto Tovar, is this him? What are we working with here? Yeah, this is him. I don't know how do I make this expand? I don't like this layout. We're gonna do something different. We're gonna do something different. So it might take me a second. I just want to tell you about Humberto. Humberto had been found guilty of a number of different infractions. I believe false arrest, planted drugs on a guy back in Rampart. He's one of the original. In fact, Humberto Tovar, I believe, was partner with Rafael Perez for a while, and he was also, I think, the first Rampart cop disciplined. He was fired. He was literally fired. But then, somehow he got reinstated. Not only was he reinstated, because the LAP is a sick place, they reinstated him and then made him a detective almost immediately. All right, so let me share this. You guys ever use newspapers.com? It's a very good resource for researching. All right, so there's Tovar, this guy right here. And so the police commission, not the police commission, the board of rights said he should lose his job, right? This is back in 2000, August 2000. He accused of framing a man in a drug case. Another policeman pleads not guilty to the shooting. As one Rampart Division police officer pleaded not guilty to attempted murder charge Monday, LAPD disciplinary panel recommended that another be fired. Be fired for his alleged role in framing of a man on drug charges 4 years ago. Both Nino Durden, who faces criminal charges, and Humberto Tovar, who confronts dismissal, were one-time partners of disgraced officer Rafael Perez, the man at the center of the unfolding LAPD corruption scandal. Tovar, whose recommended termination is all but certain to be approved by Chief Parks, would become the first police officer fired from the LAPD as a result of charges leveled by Rafael Perez. Let me see something here. Yeah. See what else we have here. That was August 1st, 2000. In another case, Humberto Perez improperly fired his gun, not because he was in danger, because he merely in order to make it appear that he was backing up his partner. What type of shit is that? So here's a list of the officers that were like heavily involved with the Rampart scandal. We have Edward Ortiz, Doyle Stepp. Doyle Stepp was a real piece of work. Rafael Perez over here. You see here Michael Montoya. Michael Montoya, remember that was the guy from the video I was showing you the first time who had him and his partner Rios took that kid over to the neighborhood and dropped them off and the kid got killed. Yeah, Michael Montoya. It says here he filed false reports regarding details of the shooting of Ovando to make the incident appear more tactically sound to superiors. So basically, they shot this guy. From the way I understand it is they made it sound like the guy turned around and went to shoot him with a gun, but apparently he got hit in the back and the guy was unarmed and I think he was paralyzed. I think he ended up winning $5 million settlement. Yeah, Michael Montoya and Mario Rios were involved in the Ovando. This is a very famous Rampart case. It's like one of the biggest Rampart cases. Yeah, they were involved with that. Right below here we go. Officer Mario Rios filed a false report regarding details of the shooting of Ovando to make the incident appear more tactically sound to superiors. So this is Mario Rios again, the guy who's getting the commendation, the SWAT officer. This is the bullshit, man. Brian Hewitt. Oh, here we go. Humberto Tovar. unnecessarily fired his gun in order to make a shooting, which he and Perez were involved with, seem more tactically sound to investigators. And he was fired for a Rampart related case, but was reinstated after a ruling of the Superior Court judge. Reinstated. Tovar. Here, let me show you Tovar. Humberto Tovar. There he is. That's him right there. That's him now. So he's a Wilshire Division detective. I've told you guys a story about this guy before. 2000, I believe, 14. He and his partner. Who was his partner? Yeah, this is it right here. So he and his partner, oh God, pulled up to the gates of the Wilshire police station, and we're waiting for the gates to open when they claim that somebody ran up behind him with a gun and started shooting at him. And so they started shooting back at the guy, and there was a huge manhunt, and they couldn't find him. There was a reason why they couldn't find him, because the shooter that said that they were ambushed didn't exist. They were shooting at shadows. What happened was his partner got freaked out by a shadow, went to go pull out his gun, and somehow discharged, I don't know, was it 3 or 4 shots LAPD said were accidental. I think one shot the windshield, one shot the roof, and one shot the side. And when they shot the roof, the stuff started falling on his head, so he thought he was shot. And so they all just both started shooting away at nobody. At nobody. There was no one there. They were shooting at shadows. These guys had a whole ass shootout with nobody. This is the level of this is the type of lunkheads that we're putting on the street. It's something. So yeah, no, that's my guy Tovar. This is who runs the LAPD. You know, you see here, the ex-Rampart officers, the worst ones. They're the ones who get the jobs in SIS and the SWAT team and detectives. They get these jobs because, for one reason, they kept their mouths shut, so they're rewarded. Dirty cops, the type of guys you don't want in these positions, especially if you're like a detective, because who's your supervisor? What's your supervision look like? You don't have supervision. You're operating on your own. Humberto Tovar is not somebody you want operating on their own. And I can go through these Rampart cases, a ton of them, of these guys that are still on the force today, working as sergeants, working throughout the force. The Hollywood division, over here in Hollywood. The captain over there got his start in Rampart. It's like no matter what, everything always comes back to Rampart, one way or another. How long does it take to become an LAPD cop? So to become an LAPD cop, you need to have 20/40 vision, be 5 foot tall, and have a GED. Then then from there you can get accepted. You know, you pass a background check or whatnot. To become a cop, it takes 5.5 months of training. 5.5 months. So in 5.5 months in the academy, you got to learn about all the different policies and procedures, how to use a gun, how to use a taser, how to drive the car, learn about infractions and misdemeanors and felonies and the Constitution, all of this in 5.5 months. You go over very little of, like, say, the Constitution. You go over very little of that during that time. You know, what are you spending a day on the Constitution at best? And because of that, I think a lot of LAPD cops come in with a lack of a foundation of understanding of the law, the Constitution, certainly LAPD policy. LAPD policy, the manuals are large. They're not memorizing all this. So long story short, LAPD officers get very little actual training before they hit the street. I will say this, the LAPD and other places, they require, I mean, in the NYPD and other places, they require an associate's degree. And usually if you go in an associate's degree, you're going to get it in, say, criminal justice. So you're going to have some sort of foundational background or understanding of the Constitution. Like I've talked to college professors who are law professors, and they say, listen, after law school, I still can't expect my students to cite the laws off the top of their head, right? And that's what people have graduated from law school. What do we expect of these cops after 5.5 months of training? Okay. Me personally, I think it'd be important for the LAPD to at least require a 2-year degree. So yeah, so they can get a criminal justice degree, an associate's degree, and have a basic understanding of First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, things like that. In my state, you need just a year of criminal justice just to apply. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that here. We don't even require that, just a GED. That's it. It's all we need. And 20 says the same thing. Needed criminal justice is required. Yeah, here we don't require that. You know, we don't. 24 vision is probably the most rigorous barrier to of entry. I mean, yeah, we have a low barrier. If Obama didn't make it a federal law to have body cams, there would be 2,000 murders a year just from LA cops alone. So let me see if I can find this actually. Give me a second here. I actually have a chart. So I was going through some public records requests, the LAPD, and I actually found some data buried in there that I think, if I can find it, I don't know if I have it on my phone here. Here we go. Let me airdrop this over to my computer. Let me upload it. Let's see here. Oh, it's not. Let me do it. Let me see something. Try something else. You know what I can do? I guess I can share my entire screen. Don't want to show too much. Oh, you know what? Here we go. So this chart right here, I don't know if you guys can, how well you guys can see it. This is LAPD. They actually had this buried in one of their emails, and it just looks at their data versus other departments, large departments, when it comes to police shootings. So if you look at 2017, 2018, 2019, look at 2021. So this is the most recent data, right? It's a little old, but it's what we got to work with. We got to work with. When it comes to total OIS, officer involved shooting incidents, the LAPD had more than all the other departments, more than Chicago, more than the LA Sheriff's Department, more than the NYPD, Houston, Philadelphia. Now, keep in mind, the LAPD patrols an area that deals with 4 million people. There's 10 million people in LA County, 4 million people in LA City, and they patrol LA City, and they had more shootings than the Sheriff's Department, which have a jurisdiction of the entire county. twice as many people. New York Police Department has what, 10 million people? So more than twice as many people in their jurisdiction than the LAPD. The LAPD still had the most shootings. When it comes to OAS incidence percentage change, people deceased as a result of the shootings, LAPD had 18. They led the way. Tied for second was the Sheriff's Department and the Houston Police Department. Chicago had 7. NYPD had 6. Philadelphia had 4. But yeah, LAPD had 18. And percentage of deceased shooting suspects to incidents. And on that, LAPD came in second with 46%, only behind Philadelphia. And so, yeah, if you're going to looking at this data, whether it comes to total shooting incidents and people deceased as a result of this police shooting, LAPD leads the way in all of them. They're the most deadly police force in the country. Now, listen, body cameras only do but so much. It was up to me. Body cameras would be live streamed. These cops would be just live streaming their entire shift. And you know what? Listen, I know it's hard to have cameras on you at all times, but too bad. Too fucking bad. Again, if I go over here, and I am going to go over here in a minute, and I go to like 7-Eleven, they have camera. They're working all shift with cameras. Gas station across the street, people working there, they have cameras on them all shift. People working at the banks and just retail jobs, people deal with cameras all the time. Deal with it. These guys are making an average $132,000 a year. They can deal with it. Stop being such babies. If you have nothing to worry about, then you have nothing to worry about, right? Actually, while we're here, I was going to end the stream, but you know what? So tomorrow is the LAPD commission meeting. I got to go there myself. The black fool, as certain cop calls me, is going to there to talk to the commission. I got a few things I want to talk about. Actually, let me pull this up here. I'm going to tell you exactly what I want to talk about. Let me see. I'm going to pull up these internal affairs documents. Go over a few things. You guys tell me what you think about this. No, not that one. Unlawful search. All right, let me share this with you guys. All right. This is the internal affairs documents related to the situation. I talked about this before with my guy Jose Quintanilla. Essentially, there was a situation where I walked up on him. I was actually out in the jog, and I got over on Sunset and Formosa, and I saw a police stop happening. Guys parked at a fire hydrant. They had ran over to go pick up their order from a restaurant. When they came back, cops handcuffed them and searched their car illegally. And when I came walking up, they released the guys. I asked the cops to identify themselves either 8 or 9 times. They refused. And so I filed a complaint, and I got a sustained complaint for the illegal search. They didn't sustain the complaint for the cops refusing to identify. And I wanted to know why. And I filed an appeal on it. And they said, yeah, we fucked up. We should have sustained a complaint on that. And apparently, when the inspector general went back and looked at the complaint again, they looked at the body camera and they were like, wait, hold on, guys. What's going on here? We were looking at the body camera and we picked up this conversation that these cops were having. and it seems like he said some inappropriate shit. So let's go through this file. Now notice here, look at the redactions. Look at the redactions that they give on these files. Crazy redactions. They're just trying to hide everything. So here is their not for public release review of complaint form. This is a complaint I filed, and they redacted it. And I'm gonna skip over a lot of this because I'm actually gonna do a long video on it. So it says here, allegation 1, complainant alleges that on November 2020, Officer Quintanilla, while on duty, conducted an illegal search of property. Now, this is funny. They said that the property was unfounded, an illegal search of property, right? But then let me see here. All right, here we go. Here it says, allegation 5, complainant alleges that on November 19, 2020, police officer 2, Jose Quintanilla, while on duty, conducted an illegal search of one person's detained backpack, and that was sustained. Right? And then it said here, allegation 6, complainant alleges that on November 19th, Officer Quintanilla, while on duty, conducted an illegal search of the vehicle, and that was sustained also. So he was sustained for that. Then he was also got a sustained complaint because he failed to book narcotics as evidence. Got a 2-day suspension here. So I was just going through the file, but then I saw that there was, after the fact, a special allegation raised, and that was allegation 17. It says the department alleges that on November 19th, 2020, Jose Quintanilla, while on duty, made an improper remark when he stated "black fool," referring to the complainant, me. Call me a black fool. Well, you could have just called me a fool, right? But you had to call me a black fool. Yeah. And what happened was remember how I said they sustained a complaint for the illegal search, but they did not sustain the complaint for me asking him 8 times to give his name. They did not. So the OIG, I filed an appeal, an audit of the complaint. They went back. They said, yeah, you fucked up. You're supposed to sustain a complaint for him refusing to identify himself. But, there's nothing we can do now because it's over the statute of limitations. But when they were going back and looking at that review, they looked at the body camera footage. And when I walked up, I caught them doing it. Listen, I caught these cops doing an illegal search. And then I asked for them to identify themselves as they're supposed to. And their response was to get into the car and call me a black fool. The inspector general filed a complaint against them for calling me a black fool. And the LAPD came back and said that it is right here, non-disciplinary. Referring to me as a black fool is non-disciplinary. Employees' actions could have been different. That's what they said. Employees' actions, this is right here. It's been classified as non-disciplinary. Employees' actions could have been different. Could is an option. It could have been different. Could have, could not have. No, actually, it fucking should have been different. Then it says rationale. Complainant blank, meaning me, is a blank in the Hollywood area. I'd like to know what that second blank says. Because I've seen documents and they'd be like, oh, is a serial complainer. They do stuff like that. It is petty. in the Hollywood area, and they redacted all this stuff. Now it says here, I love this. Listen to this, guys. Let me get a drink of my kombucha. It is understandable that officers release some stress by using improper language in private places such as their vehicles. It is understandable. Listen, this guy right here, he's a pain in the ass. William, he's a pain in the ass. I understand, he's a black fool. And, it's understandable you want to call him a black fool just to release some stress. You want to release some stress, call him a black fool. However, making such improper remarks on body-worn video makes these remarks discoverable to others. So it's not like, hey, man, don't say this shit. They're saying it's understandable you say this. However, making such improper remarks on body-worn video makes these remarks discoverable by others. In other words, listen, you want to call him a black fool, that's cool, but turn off your body camera. That way he can't find it. That's your problem right there. It's not that you shouldn't have said it, right? Because you're just blowing off some steam. But you got to cut off your body-worn video. Otherwise, you're going to make it discoverable by others. Now, they did say, again, let me read it in its entirety again. It is understandable that officers release some stress by using improper language in private places such as their vehicles. Private places. That's our fucking vehicles. That's a public vehicle. Fuck you. It's not a private place. A private place. You don't own it. It is understandable that officers release some stress by using improper language in private places such as their vehicle. However, making such improper remarks on body-worn video makes those remarks discoverable to others. Such behavior is unprofessional and reflects negatively on the department as a whole. It is recommended that this be classified as non-disciplinary. Call me a black fool is non-disciplinary. Let me ask you something, guys. How comfortable would you feel if a cop referred to somebody as, say, a Muslim fool, this Muslim fool? How would that look? Or better yet, what would the reaction be? It was picked up on tape, a cop referring to somebody as this Jewish fool. What would happen? What would the outcry look like? There would be hell to pay if a cop was caught on video calling somebody a Jewish fool. There'd be hell to pay, right? But him calling me, and listen, you know me, you don't hear me honestly running around saying race cards and stuff like that. I don't use that very often. But that's an improper remark. Now, this guy Quintanilla, he's already got problems. I don't even know how he's functioning as a police officer. Remember I was talking about those pitches motions? I've had, I don't know if it was 3 or 4 defense attorneys and defense investigators reach out to me over the last couple of years, specifically about him. Remember how we were talking about how he had an illegal search of a backpack? One time there was a case, a guy where he arrested a guy where he found a ghost gun in the person's backpack. The guy claimed that he illegally searched the guy's backpack. So they came to me and they said, hey, you have any information on this guy doing any illegal searches? I said, yeah. I said, I sustained a complaint for him illegally searching a backpack. They said, holy shit, we have a case involving a backpack. I said, well, put me on stand and I'll tell you what I know. That case didn't go to trial. They gave the guy diversion. He had to do a gun safety class. That's what they gave him because they didn't want to put this guy on stand. I've had 2 other cases where they told me that I was going to be subpoenaed related specifically to Quintanilla, and those cases just sort of go away. Now, is it good that people who are getting caught with ghost guns are being sent out into the street? It's probably not a good thing. Therefore, you probably want to make sure your cops follow policy, follow the law, and follow the Constitution. Don't do these Fourth Amendment violations with these illegal searches of backpacks and cars, because if they do and they get caught, it's going to taint every one of their cases going forward. So it's not my problem that this cop put all his other cases in jeopardy. It's his problem with his bad policing. I'm just there doing my part, holding them accountable. Don't blame me, blame yourself. My thing is, it's impossible for this cop to get on the stand when it's his word versus somebody else. And if you can't take the stand on as a cop, then it's kind of hard to be a cop. You get put on my list. You get put on my list, and you know you're gonna be in a bad place. Let me pull up Quintanilla's profile. Let me see his bitch ass. I haven't seen him for a while, but I do believe I saw him on New Year's creeping around. I don't know if he's in the division. No. You know what? Let's add that. Share screen. Yeah, this is Jose. This is the one who called me a black fool. Right? Mr. Ears. Let's look at this video. Hold on. Now you guys tell me. How many times I ask them to identify? See, they see me coming and they're like, let's get the handcuffs off. Here comes William.
I'll take that. I'll take that. I'll take that. Good night, guys.
Thank you. We hungry.
Let's count
Hey,
them.
let me get your name.
One.
Hey, you. Let me get his name. What's his name? What's his name? Yeah. What's your name, man? Hey, what's your name? Seven. Hey, let me get your name. Hey, let me get your card. You guys all right?
Yeah, sure.
What happened?
Yeah, they're just tripping because I parked.
They pulled you out?
No, I was already out.
They handcuffed you?
Oh yeah, they handcuffed me.
They handcuffed you?
I had a bird from your daddy.
They
I never seen you on your daddy.
Wait.
Hey, I didn't mean to walk away.
They handcuffed you?
Yeah, I was tripping out because I walked across the street when I ordered and they handcuffed me. I'm like, oh,
Did they search your car?
they searched it. Did they leave
Did
it?
they search your car too?
Yeah, with no
You guys didn't even consent to the search.
You didn't consent to the search? Nothing?
He has a full video.
Can I file a complaint for you? Listen, I'm a cop watcher. I file complaints. I file two a day.
Please do.
So, like I said, how many times did I ask him for his name? 8, 9 times? And they came back and told me, yeah, that was not a policy. And then they admitted later on, yeah, we fucked up. It should have been. This shows you how sloppy these cases are. So yeah, right there, he gets into his car and it's body worn video that captures him calling me a black fool, which is, Jesus. It's not a good look. So the reason why I bring that up is I have been emailing the chief. I want answers about this, right? And so far I've sent him 8 emails. Let me show you this. It said, basically, I said, like I said, 8 different emails. Hi, Jim. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. I'm following up for the 6th time about the incident where Jose Quintanilla called me a black fool. LAPD internal affairs records show that body camera footage captured this comment after I reported the officer's unlawful search. It also seems that the OIG reported this misconduct to internal affairs after they reviewed the body-worn video. Despite the OIG sending this misconduct back to you, the department decided not to uphold the complaint regarding the officer's racist remark. I've asked several questions about this complaint, including, why was the officer's comment classified as non-disciplinary? Do you think this behavior is acceptable in your leadership? Will this type of behavior continue to be seen as non-disciplinary under your leadership? Sergeant Chow and Captain Galani classified the remarks, they called me a black fool, as just letting off steam. Do you agree? No, listen, this is basic stuff. eh, eh, are you going to sustain the complaint for him calling me a black fool or not in the future? Or if another cop calls me that, will it be sustained? These are basic questions I want to know. And I've asked him this. I sent 8 different emails asking this question over and over again. Right here. This was on the 21st. Today's 6 days ago. Hi, Jim. Reaching out for the 8th time about this. As mentioned, one of your officers captured the video calling me a black fool. Questions. Why was the officer's comment determined to be non-disciplinary? Is this behavior acceptable in your leadership? Will this kind of behavior continue to be seen as non-disciplinary? And, asking him if he agrees with it being classified or called letting off steam. These are basic questions I want to know. Can I expect cops to just call me a black fool whenever they want to? Is it going to be acceptable? He has chosen not to answer. Now, listen, I have included every member of the LAPD commission on these emails. I've included Florence Yu of the inspector general, the acting inspector general. I've included the secretary of the LAPD, executive secretary of the LAPD commission. I included Elizabeth Rhodes of the director of Office of Constitutional Policing and Policy. And I haven't gotten an answer back. I'm going to go to LAPD commission tomorrow. You guys watching the LAPD commission? I'm going to come there tomorrow. And I'm going to ask, why have I not received an answer about this type of language and whether it should be classified as non-disciplinary going forward? I'm also going to lay down certain I don't want to call them threats. I want to get some real accountability. See, the LAPD commission, right? So there are civilian oversight committee. They're supposed to be overseeing the LAPD and civilian oversight committee. Unfortunately, we got ex police chief, FBI agent, an ex prosecutor. These are law enforcement types, right? You kind of want your civilian oversight to be sort of civilian, like teacher, the guy that works at DWP, whatever, just regular people from the community overseeing the police department. Instead, it's generally people who are connected to law enforcement or people who are pretty well off. See, LAPD commission, those jobs aren't paid. So essentially, the only people who are going to take those jobs are people who are financially well off, well connected and stuff. And I would rather have somebody work there full time and give them a damn salary, have them elected, not appointed like they are now by the mayor, elected by the people who are held accountable by the people. See, the LAPD commission, they're held accountable by no one. They're held accountable by the mayor. They work at the behest of the mayor, and the mayor, she's a piece of shit. So how do we get them to hold cops accountable? Well, listen, Rasha Shields, she works in the private sector as a lawyer. She has a law firm. She's part of a law firm. Her law firm actually did LAPD commission business. They interviewed the police chiefs at their law firm. So my thing is, I'm a big thing. My thing is I believe in public shaming. I think public shaming does wonders. It works really well. And so I want to go there and I want to look right into Rasha Shields' face. You guys can warn her beforehand around the commission. Let her know that Miss Shields, you keep on covering up the LAPD misconduct. I have been emailing you trying to get comment about whether this black fool is acceptable or not. This last guy who called me a black fool, they said it was non-disciplinary. And you've done nothing about it. You have said nothing about it. So Rasha Shields, your board of directors at your job, your clients, your vendors, I'm going to find out who these people are. And I'm going to contact them one by one, your board, your clients, whoever, and let them know how you are covering up for this LAPD misconduct. And that goes for every one of you motherfuckers on this LAPD commission. Everyone. See, listen, Southers, he's a lost cause. But the guy who works for Homeboy Industries, how do they feel about the fact that you're covering up for the LAPD, that you refuse to make a statement about this cop, Quintanilla, calling me a black fool. You refuse to even say anything. I think that's a coward move. So I'm going to take it to the people that you know, the people that you work with, all these professional connections that you have. You think you were going to kind of keep this stuff separated and sanitized? Fuck that. I'm going to ask them how they feel about this. I want to see. I want to see if they'll cut off my mic. They probably will. I don't really care. I'm going to follow it up. That's why I have my chalkboard right here. Because in the coming days, as we go through situations where I'm dealing with corrupt cops or the politicians are refusing to do their job, I'm going to start listing email addresses, phone numbers, stuff over my shoulder. So people who feel inspired to reach out and speak their mind to the boards, to the clients, to the vendors, whoever else, and let them know what they think about this LAPD commissioner covering up for the police. I think, like I said, public shaming goes a long way. And we can't expect anything to get done using just the normal procedures that are in place. I have a lot of patients. I file complaints. I wait 18 months, 2 years to go through the entire complaint process, disposition and stuff. And I'm fine with that. But at the end of the process, when I see that there is a cover up going on, covering up police misconduct, then somebody needs to be held accountable. We're just not going to keep on going down the line and say, okay, yeah, we fucked up. Well, somebody's got to be held accountable. There's got to be some sort of repercussions. And I think that the civilians that are overseeing the police department, who are essentially just rubber stamping anything they want, I think they're going to need to feel it. I think it's important to let them know. And listen, it's important then to come on here and say exactly what these people are doing, make videos and make up officer profiles, things like that, just to let people know that this person is corrupt, that they're covering up for the LAPD or they're participating in misconduct. You kind of young probably don't know who Rodney King is, but they murdered him. Here, let me pull it up. You kind of young probably don't know who Rodney King is. They murdered him. The LAPD did drown him in his own swimming pool. So I'm very familiar with Rodney King. Believe it or not, guys, I am 50 years old. So I've been around for a while. Definitely know about Rodney King. Anyway, I think that'll do it for tonight, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, I plan on these being daily. I don't plan on them being, we've gone for an hour and a half, maybe not this long. And I would ideally like to start these by like say 8 o'clock Pacific time. Just give you an update on what happens. Like at some point tomorrow, I'm going to get a bunch of emails coming in. I'm going to go to the commission, talk some shit, give you a recap on that, even though they know exactly what I'm going to be doing now. But I'd like to do these every day. And then, listen, this is not going to be limited just to policing. The stuff I do is more than just holding cops accountable. I believe in holding politicians accountable, probably more so than anything lately, right? Karen Bass is definitely in my crosshairs. I can't stand her. I've led the way. I've been telling you guys about Karen Bass before it was a fun thing to do. I've been telling you since day one, she's a piece of shit. She's a corrupt piece of shit. Along with many corrupt pieces of shit in city council. And I think she's running the city into the ground. I think that she is essentially, you're talking about looting. She's looted the city. Her and her nonprofits that are around her and all her contractors. They're just looting the city. They're taking just all our money and we're getting nothing in return. Homeless problems are becoming worse. Our streets are falling apart. Our street services are all fucked up. Street lighting is out. Don't even go to South Central. It's completely black. Here's the thing, right? You go to South Central, it is dark as fuck. You go down those streets. I'm not talking about side streets. I'm talking about the main streets. I'm talking about like Western, Normandy, Fig. It's all dark. About the only one that's sort of well lit would be like Crenshaw, but that's, you start getting up there, it doesn't get as well lit. Seems like if you just put like more better lighting, it would help reduce some crime, right? But don't get me started. We cut that. I think we cut street lighting by millions of dollars, right? Cut cut the fire department by $19 million. Cut aging, all these departments, sanitation by like 20 million, something ridiculous. And streets are full of garbage. But we gave the cops $126 million increase last year, which is outrageous. And this year, even though they say crime is down, they're asking for a $250 million increase. Where the fuck are we gonna get this money from? We're gonna have to cut everything across the board to get even more money to give to these cops. And like I said, $132,000 on average per cop. That's outrageous and it's unsustainable. They signed a new contract, which is going to make their average pay go up to about 145,000 a year. The average rookie is, I think, starts off at 96,000. Will start at 96,000 before overtime. They all get overtime. I don't know where we're going to get this money, guys. I don't know. The Olympics are coming up, and they would like to increase hiring tremendously. I don't know. I don't know where this is going to come from, but every dollar, again, crime is essentially at a 40-year low. It's right around, 30, 40 years ago, we didn't have Citizen app. We didn't have social media. We didn't have people posting on Instagram and TikTok, the street takeovers and stuff. You didn't have that. Crime has been there. Now you're hearing about it in a different way. The police and the people that are around them capitalize on that by trying to make it seem like the city is unsafe. We need more money. We need more money. But at the end of the day, crime is essentially at a 40-year low. But at the same time, our police budget is skyrocketing and defunding our city across the board. And by doing it, you reach a point where you end up in a death spiral because you've defunded all these services so much. You defund services, and next thing you know, you get more crime, which leads to the need for more police officers, which sucks money away from the budget for preventative reasons, and then you end up with more crime. And we're reaching that point. We're slowly reaching that point of, the abyss. I don't know how we're going to get out of it. I would imagine that our financial situation is much worse after these fires because tourism has come to a standstill in LA. It's a lot of tax revenue being lost. That means less tax receipts coming into the government. We are already having budget problems. Departments going way above their limits on spending. Our liability payouts skyrocketing, and then we have less money coming into the government. It's going to make a worse budget problem. It's going to be interesting to see how Karen Bass and City Council navigate that. They're going to be a mess. And what's coming in the next 6 months, it's going to be a huge fight. It's going to be a huge fight. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. All right, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow night. Say something around like 8:30 to 9 o'clock. Let's say 8:30, 8:40. I don't want to start after 9 o'clock anymore. I just want to kind of start before then. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, the website, filmthepolicela.com, if you want to see officer profiles. I've been slow on adding profiles. I'd like to add 4 or 5 a day, but I'm doing it on my own, and I'm kind of particular with how I like to do things. It's probably the reason why I do it on my own. But I've also been caught with there's a million other things, but I'm gonna start adding more and more. If you guys see articles about a bad cop doing something, LAPD or LASD, shoot me over an email, filmthepolicela@gmail.com. Any tips you guys have, if you guys just reach out to me if you want me to give you my signal, whatever. And yeah, I try to answer quickly. Sometimes I'm a little slow. All right, guys, I will see you tomorrow. Shout out to the mods. Have a good night. And I'll be live tomorrow around like 9 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time. If there's nothing work related that gets me caught up at the LAPD commission meeting, I got a few things to say to them. All right, guys, take care.